Hey, so ever since I lost my eyesight, one of my favorite things to make has been communion wafers. And me and my wife, we take communion all the time. We go to church, but it's got to the point when you don't have eyesight, you start hearing stuff more and smelling and tasting stuff more because your other senses, basically kick in. And so what has happened is I can't be in there with worship anymore. It's just like too loud. And then if I'm in a room and there's a bunch of conversations, I'm hearing every conversation at once, which is not a good thing. Especially, you don't want to hear some of these conversations. So I came up with this communion wafer deals. It's very easy to make. And so I'm going to show you how to do it right now. It's kind of in stages, but preheat your oven to 400 to begin with. And then you got 1 cup of flour. Then you're going to put in probably a teaspoon of salt, and it really doesn't matter what kind of salt you use. It didn't matter what kind of flour you use either. Okay, then you're going to put in 1/3 cup of oil. Let me make sure this is my 1/3 cup because I have it written on the bottom. And I'm using avocado oil because it really has no flavor. But you can use whatever oil you got. And then 1/3 cup of water. And then basically you're just gonna mix this until it kind of becomes a ball. And then you're gonna take it out and put it in saran wrap for only 10 minutes. You don't want to go over 10 minutes because then it will get a little bit tougher, I guess I should say. And I'll show you how I roll it out. But I'll get in the saran wrap right now. You got a ball basically like this. Comes together very easy. And then after the 10 minutes, we'll be back. Okay, well, it's been 10 minutes. So here's what we got. What we're going to do is we're going to split this in half, okay? And one thing to remember about the parchment paper is that you can reuse the parchment paper if it's a good quality parchment paper. But so I make it kind of oblong, put it on here, I'm going to turn it to the side. I'm going to put another piece of parchment paper over it, and then I want to make it I want it going both directions before I start rolling the other way, because we're going to make these pretty thin. Okay, now you could do half a batch because I'm doing a whole batch, which does 2 of these parchment papers. Now they're not completely full, but you could do half. Once you've got it kind of wide, then you're going to start rolling it the other way. And if this is not the most delicious communion wafer you've had, you comment and tell me. But I got so tired of going places and then they'd have the communion wafer that was made out of styrofoam or something. I don't know. That's what it tastes like. And then basically it will just peel right off. Looks like I got a little bit on the side over here, which is okay, because what I will do, I'll cut that little strip off and put it on top of for the next one. And it will just come right up. Okay, and then now that we've, okay, so it'll come right up. Now that we've done that, we're going to pierce it, because he was pierced for our iniquities. And I usually speak over it and bless it as I'm doing it, because the truth is, if you do communion right, it can bring healing to your body. And then by his stripes, we were healed. And, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can make it perfect, but the fact that I can't really see what I'm doing, I'm just kind of guesstimating. And then I'll do it the other way. By his stripes, we were healed. And then I'm going to put this onto a cookie sheet, and it's going to go in the oven at the 400 degrees for 7 minutes. At the end of the 7 minutes, you're going to turn off the oven, and then you're going to open it up, let most of the heat come out, shut it back, and you're going to leave it there for another 20 minutes. Or you can just leave it overnight, but you got to remember, don't accidentally turn on the oven, and then you end up burning them the next day. So that's it. I'll probably come back with show the end product. Okay, so that was our 7 minutes, and I'm going to pull out one of them. First of all, I got to make sure I turn off the oven so it starts cooling down some. But I'm going to pull this out so you can see, and then I'm going to leave it in there. But basically, this is what you end up with, these wafers, and they'll get even more crunchy as they sit in the oven. But I'm telling you, once you start making these, you won't want to have communion with anything else. And then volunteer to make it for your church. It doesn't, 1 cup of flour, that's basically all you're doing in a little oil. Man, what a difference. Well, let me tell you one story though. So one day I was taking communion with my wife, and now remember, I can't see, everything. Basically, people say, well, what are you seeing? Well, it looks like trees. And it was caused by an automobile accident. But so one day I'm taking communion with my wife, and I look up, and sitting across the table from me was Jesus. And then later I started thinking about it. Well, the scripture says, where 2 or more of you gather together, I am in the midst of you. So we should expect to see stuff like that. But everyone else, that's crazy. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and have a blessed day.